Live, bro. Yo. We jumping right in. No logo, straight to it. This is RKY,
Yeah.
aka Prime. That's Leroy Green. Another episode of the Weekend Rhyme, the number one hip hop podcast in the game. Make sure you hit like and subscribe. We got to get to 100,000 subscribers so we can have our festival, our first annual Court and Hip Hop Festival coming sooner than later. We might even have it before we even get to 100,000 subscribers, but we need to make sure we get them subs up. Get them subs up. And yeah, man. So yeah, we back at it, man. What's going on, brother? How was your weekend?
It was awesome, man. It was great. I'm really just having a chance to go back into music, and I'm a music guy first. That's really the only thing that really interests me is like rhymes and beats when it comes to hip hop. So it's like I'm just listening to albums, narrowing them down to what I think is album of the year. So I was kind of in that zone, you know what I mean? Going back to the Rhapsody, going back to the Vince Staples, going back to the COD, Thief Next to Jesus, Logic, Master Ace. So that's where I'm at. But things happen. But it's been very busy, very productive. And like you said, with the whole festival things, I'm gonna try to push that through regardless. Subscribers is always nice. I love the audience. I love the engagement. The more support, the better because it helps me kind of push the line. But it's like I got to push the line whether supported or not supported. You know what I mean? So the festival thing, that I'm hoping to one day be able to do that. You know what I mean? So but we moving though.
We're moving though. So we got a great show for you guys tonight. We are going to talk about, kind of give you guys a preview. We're working on a very special episode where we might have all four of us and all five of us, super duper, other folks give our album of the year list. We're going to give you a little preview of that. Leroy kind of rattled off some at the beginning of the show. Also going to talk about Billboard's hottest female MCs of 2024. Going to get into the 50 Cent Camron discussion. And we would be remiss if we didn't start the show off with some breaking news. I want to do this in a very responsible way because, Fox News, CNN, Complex, other mainstream media outlets will present this and cover this in a different way. But I want to cover this in a way in a perspective of hip hop. This is called According to Hip Hop, and we might want to give a perspective rooted in hip hop. So today there was a breaking news announcement that Jay-Z was named in a lawsuit implicating him in an assault of a minor, of a 13-year-old girl back in the year 2000 after a MTV VMA Awards after party. Jay-Z via Rock Nation and also on X, Twitter, released a statement saying that he categorically denies the accusations. And I just want to say we want to make sure we give people their space. We weren't there. I wasn't there. We hope that that both sides have their time to articulate themselves. And Jay's response was very forceful. And again, I think as a culture, when the Puff situation was going on, I think there was a lot of I want to say irresponsibility going on within certain sects of our sects of our culture, saying who's next, who's going to be next. And I think that's a very dangerous game. People have families, people have business dealings. I don't think we should be in the game of playing Twitter detective or social media sleuth and
I
trying to
mean,
say
a
who's
lot of
next. I think it's irresponsible. But go ahead, Leroy.
a lot of y'all should have been cops. That was your calling. You should have been a cop because really that's who you are. You're officers, and you know what I mean. But I tend not to believe things I hear. Every time if you've gone back even of anybody, I've always said, I don't know, I wasn't there, I didn't see it. Now that's for a reason. Now other people, y'all gonna believe whatever you hear, and that's on y'all. Me, if I didn't see it, because I just know how things work. Now on one hand, again, we got procedures in play for when somebody is accused of whatever. Me, I judge rhymes and beats. Now, of course, we go into other topics or whatever. If we're talking about someone's character, I'm going off what they say, what they have done for the last generation, and I'm going off that. Now, granted, again, like I said, I'm not around these people. The media, they now one thing's for sure. People definitely wanted to see Jay-Z fall because that's been his whole career and since he came into hip hop. People have been hoping he falls. That's been since the 90s. So it's not gonna be no let's give him the benefit of the doubt. People want to see they're hoping and praying that Jay-Z goes down. And because that's always been the thing. Let's hate Jay-Z. You know what I mean? So, but like I said, these are very serious topics. I'm really not my jokes aren't really offensive. Like when I try to make a joke, I'm not really trying to offend. Certain things are not funny to me. I don't really uh play into a joke. You got the Andrew Schulz thing and the Kendrick. I don't really play around certain jokes. It's just not funny to me. And certain things like this, if you're accusing someone of something, take it to the authorities, do what you gotta do. You know what I mean? I would just say, if you're out here playing, I don't think certain things are funny. I just don't. So
Right. Right.
see what it is. Since I've been listening to Jay Z, I'm talking about musically. I don't know Jay Z. Musically, I'm hearing someone that stands on integrity. That's what I've heard. So I go with that. Again, I'm only a listener of rhymes and beats. That's how far I can take it. So I'm gonna go with that. You know.
Yeah, I'm trying to get the statement pulled up here. So I want to be fair to the listeners and to our audience and give, Jay-Z's forceful kind of reaction here. Let me pull the statement up here. Give me 1 second. But yeah, I just think, we don't know. Again, we always say, you know, we just don't know. We hear things about Hollywood and the music industry, and we've been hearing these things for years, but we don't know. We weren't there in these rooms. And I think we as hip hop, we should be a little bit more responsible before we just throw accusations on somebody without
We're,
having
we're
all the
not we're not we're
facts.
not gonna do that. There
So
have been
we're gonna do
artists.
that
There
on
have been artists.
recording hip hop. We're not
We,
gonna go
we ain't gonna do that. We ain't got
basically
that type
saying
of hip hop. Don't got that kind of integrity like that. I'm sorry to say. I'm only gonna keep it 100. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. So other people gonna tell, yeah, hip hop, we got all kind of integrity. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. There has been artists that have come out and said they have been assaulted and made songs about them being assaulted, and people have laughed at that. You know what I'm saying? People, oh, that was soft emo rap. So that's the type of stuff. That's where we at. You know what I mean? And it's like, what I'm like again, man. Again, this is something I'm not really concerned with, but I know how people are gonna run with it. Y'all run with it, man. But me, when it across the board with everything, I tend not to just believe everything I hear. That's with everything. That ain't just with this. So you know what I
right.
mean?
And shout out to people that have been victims of these heinous things, like even outside of the music business, but if, in real life, there's people that go through these situations, right? And there are real victims out there that that need to be kind of you know protected, because I'm from like the old school. I think if you harm, abuse a child or abuse a
Right.
woman, I think death should be coming to you, right? I think that should be the punishment. But again, we got to be responsible here. Um, Jermaine Johnson with the super chat says it's crazy that people are hoping that it's true that a 13-year-old girl was assaulted. Damn. Yeah,
Well,
again, like who, like, what kind of energy when people hope that something is
eh,
true? You know what I'm saying?
I,
I
I
don't.
I don't think. Yeah, I think they're hoping Jay Z goes down. I don't think they're hoping that really happened. I mean, I hope that's not the case, but I think they're hoping Jay Z goes down for something. Again, Jay Z's existence makes people kind of insecure. Now, people are going to come on here and disagree with that. Again, I've been a hip hop fan all my life. So I've been out here talking about rap. And people they're insecure about Jay Z's success. It reminds them of what they haven't done. So, you know what I mean? But again, I think people are just, I don't think it's the fact that someone was harmed. I think they just are hoping someone goes down. But again, I The only thing I can judge is its reputation, right? There are certain people in this game that have stood on high integrity. Now, when you're talking about a crime of egregious nature, super egregious, I, I don't picture that being the case. You know what I mean? And I've been outside a long time, known a lot of stand-up dudes. And I just don't picture that. Now, things happen. And this is where we have due process, a law, things like that. And when certain crimes are committed, it's important that people go, civilians. I mean, it's important civilians go to the authorities. That's all. If you go to the authorities, something happened, you know, that's what the authorities are there to do. So, you
Right.
know,
And I say this, that has a daughter. I have a daughter. I've got nieces. I've got a wife. I got a mother. I got aunts. So I take
yeah,
these certain situations, real situation. I wouldn't stand next to somebody. I got a whiff if you put your hands on a female, or you grimy like that, you messing with kids. We don't rock
right,
like that. I don't rock like that. Again, I think death should be come to you. But I think right now we live in such a world where people are just so quick to quick to judge and quick to put yourself in a situation like that. I don't even think about some of Jay-Z's
right.
lyrics, like on 444. You remember the song, the last song, Legacy, right? I think he talks about I think his uncle or his grandfather was a preacher
Yes,
and said
yes,
that charge of energy set our family back. So he talks about,
yeah,
uh, you know,
yeah. The
he
his
talks about the subject on a song like that. You know what I mean? And let me read his
right.
statement because I can't pull his statement up. I can't pull his statement up, but it
I mean,
says he says my lawyer received. This is from Jay Z. He says my lawyer received a blackmail attempt, called it a man letter from a lawyer named Tony Busby. What he calculated was the nature of these allegations and the public scrutiny would make me want to settle. No, sir. It had the opposite effect. It made me want to expose you for the fraud that you are in a very public fashion. So, no, I will not give you one red penny. These allegations are so heinous in nature that I implore you to file a criminal complaint, not a civil one. Whoever was commit such a crime against a minor should be locked away. Would you not agree? These alleged victims would deserve real justice if that were the case. The lawyer, who I've done a bit of research on, seems to have a pattern of these type of theatrics. I have no idea how you've come to such a deplorable human being, Mr. Busby, but I promise you that I've seen your kind many times over. I'm more than prepared to deal with your type. You claim to be a Marine. Marines are known for their valor. You have neither honor nor dignity. My only heartbreak is for my family. My wife and I will have to sit our children down, one of whom is the age where her friends will surely see the press and ask questions about the nature of these claims and explain the cruelty and greed of people. I mourn yet another loss of innocence. Children shouldn't have to endure should not have to endure such at their young age. It is unfair to have to understand inexplicable degrees of malice meant to destroy families and human spirit. My heart and support goes out to the true victims in the world who have to watch how their life story is dressed in costume for profitability by the ambulance chaser in a cheap suit. You have made a terrible error in judgment thinking that all celebrities are the same. I'm not from your world. I'm a young man who made it out of the projects of Brooklyn. We don't play these type of games. We have very strict codes and honor. We protect children. You seem to exploit people for personal gain. Only your network of conspiracy theorists, fake physics, who will believe the idiotic claims you have levied against me that if for not the seriousness surrounding harm to kids would be laughable. I look forward to showing you just how different I am. That's a statement from Jay-Z. So we'll see.
I
Uh,
mean, if I was Jay, I'm not even, again, I'm not even gonna respond to it because certain things we just don't play with. Again, we I'm from an era similar to the era Jay is from. He's probably a decade older than me, right? So I'm cut from a certain era. When certain violations or claims are made, the penalty is death. That's the only, the penalty is death. Someone will be laid in a casket. So if we're gonna go, if we're gonna stand there, that's the time I'm on. If we're playing these type of games. Now the reason why I say that is because now we're gonna try to play moral police. If we're gonna play moral police, then we have to be moral police around all women in hip hop culture. Period. And all women in hip hop culture should be protected. If we're not gonna go that far, then I don't want to. I don't believe the moral high ground people are gonna try to stand on now, because they're gonna pick and choose when something is egregious instead of all women. Period. You violate any woman in hip hop, you already know what the penalty should be. Period. But see, we're gonna pick and choose when to be serious, and we're not gonna stand on it all the way until it's death. Stand on it till it's death, because that's the time we're supposed to be on. But that when it comes time to be on that, it's like we don't stand on that. You know what I mean? So, but again, you know, it's unfortunate. But if I was Jay, I'd be like, man, people gonna say anything. They're just gonna say anything now. If the last few years it's Jay-Z this, Jay-Z that, Jay-Z, oh, Jay-Z, Jay-Z, everything is negative. You're saying anything rather than to just make your case and do what you gotta do the right way if you feel there's a problem. But like I said, from what I've heard, again, I've only heard lyrics. I've never met this person. I've heard someone that stands on integrity. And the kind of era that he comes out of, similar to the era I'm from, we just don't play them type of games. It's just, we just don't. You know what I mean? So that's my opinion.
Yeah,
I've only given it just that moment of thought is the only thought I've given the subject. Sorry.
no, again, we want to make sure we provide a fair platform, especially with somebody that's been a fabric of the culture for the last almost 30 years. And we'll see how it plays out. Again, a man has a right to defend himself. And again, I want to also state this again: anybody that does any type of these type of things to kids and women, we don't stand with. But I mean,
Yes,
again,
death.
it's death. But I
Death.
want to make sure we're fair with it, and we don't. And his response is his response, and then he'll have to deal with that with his family and explain that to them, and hopefully the truth will come to the light, man. And that's what it is, man. But speaking of Jay, this has always been going on, and I say the audience has been doing 50 before when his Puff stuff was coming out. He was putting Jay subliminally in his IG post. So 50 was kind of throwing little shots at Jay via IG for the longest, trying to imply certain things about Jay. And again, I'm not trying to talk out of both sides of my mouth. 50, 9 times out of 10, you know what I'm saying, seems to be a straight shooter. Seems to be an honest guy. You know what I mean?
My
From what
my fit. Yeah, I got a different opinion.
you got a
Shout
different
out to
opinion on
Lloyd.
Fifth?
Shout out to Shaw Money. Shout out to Lloyd Banks. You know what I mean? I've seen them. They've come to the Bay Area. Me and my crew were there. I dealt with them when they were hot. Right.
Right.
I got a different opinion. Right. Again, now I go off. I don't believe everything I hear, but I do believe when the person is saying something about themselves over and over. 50, I know the context you're talking about is music now, whatever, but you're supposed to be on gangster time. So your whole thing is about you put in work on people, right? That's what makes you 50 Cent, right? So if it's not about that, then I don't think Jay-Z is taking you serious because you're about putting in pain, right? You're supposed to do violence is your game, right? So if you ain't, you're talking. So now we'll get to the talking point. You
That's
said,
old. That's old 50 Cent. The new 50 Cent is about
well,
business.
yeah, okay,
It's-
so that's old 50 Cent. So I can't take you serious now because
right.
that's old 50 Cent. So now you're projecting a certain thing that you're not willing to do. When you made How to Rob, who did you rob? Who did you rob? Now again, I know maybe I'm going too far with it because we know that it was music and you were getting a buzz and it was a joke and and certain things. But I'm just saying you're the one that kind of have perpetuated the reality of what I'm saying by saying that no, you're really about that time. So I'm just going off what you have said, you say on records, on your classic records. I'm just going off what you say. Now, musically, you're talking about competing with Jay. But 50, respectfully, somebody who's made classic material, classic albums. What music is Jay competing with you with? What songs, what albums are so hot right now that Jay has to come out and compete with you? I don't understand. What do you have music that I missed? That's supposed to be so hot right now that you're doing? And again, that's not a diss. I'm just saying you talked about competing. You're competing with Jay musically. So what is the competition? That's all I'm saying. Like, what is Jay supposed to be competing with you?
I don't know. Maybe it's a bit. Maybe it's something personal that we don't know about. Some personal animus. Maybe it's a business dealing that went wrong. But obviously, he's always had. Even when he did flight 187, I think like flight one, he said everything is changing. I don't understand a thing. He said they say Jay is growing dreads and talking like a yardie. He's always been throwing like different subliminals at Jay
Right.
in his
I
records.
get it.
He's always been doing. It's more of a competitive thing, and he's always been talking about Puff. I think Puff was a personal thing. What I heard was that 50 had a
Okay,
problem with
so get
Puff.
on.
Let me
Yeah.
finish. 50 had a problem with Puff back in the day. I think Puff might have tried to sign him, and then I think he rejected his offer, and then he got wind that Puff was trying to blackball him. And then when Puff offered to take him shopping, that's kind of so 50's really, he held a grudge, and now he's getting his payback. Got the Netflix documentary coming out. And now he's just like, look, I told you about this guy. Let me give you the super chat real quick. Jermaine Johnson says, America, stop fake caring about women. The guy that just won the presidency was found civilly liable for rape, and his victim was awarded $5 million. A lot of y'all still voted for him. You don't care.
You don't care. So stop with the.
Well, I
Is
mean,
it?
uh,
Please
uh,
show me you care, because I care. But please show me you care, and that way we're defending all slights against women. Period. In hip
well,
hop.
well, to
Hip
be
hop.
honest, there were some accusations against the current president as well. That weren't
Okay.
and
Yeah.
another former president, I think, that served from 92 to 96, President Clinton, had some accusations as well.
We're not
So,
talking about them, but even them are
but
okay.
I'm
Like
saying, I mean, so we
they
we have to
all.
say blanket statement against all people that hold that position, because a lot of
Yeah.
them have been accused of that. Just not just isolate one person. If we're keeping it, as you
Why
said,
not?
Leroy, if we're playing
We're
the moral
isolating
police,
Jay Z.
like you said earlier, right? If we're playing the moral police. We need to play the moral police against everybody, right? This is not single one person out. If that's how we playing it, that's
Wait,
your word. That's your words. Those your words, not mine.
Donald Trump is a different level of
Oh,
criminality.
okay. Well, those your words, not
People
mine,
are
though.
talking. You're talking. People are talking about Donald Trump without knowing his history. That's one. His history is way different from other people. So
Hmm.
it's a and these ain't just anybody saying he's done certain crimes. These are the closest people to him saying he's so that's a little different. Now, no, but again, you're also right in we're gonna hold a certain ground, but anybody who's president is your enemy. Let's make that clear. By default, them being president makes them your enemy. So stop thinking that these people are your friend. All presidents are your enemy. When you vote for someone, you're voting for who you want to fight, not who you want to support. That in my mind. That's the difference between my vote and your vote. Now, back to the 50 thing again, respectfully 50. But you're on gangster time. That's what you said that you were about when you came into hip hop.
That's
If
20 years
something
ago.
is
That's 20 years ago, Leroy. He's on different
okay,
time
so
now.
so so if you're not on that time because times have changed, well then I'm sorry, but Jay probably doesn't take you serious because you said you were on gangster time. So then when he sees you, where is all the gangsterism? Where is it? And I'm not saying you should do that because that would be a a crazy L for you to jump into that bag. But what I'm saying is Jay-Z is listening to what you're saying, and he knows you as being on gangster time because that's what your records are about. So it was the same. It was the same thing with Mob Deep. It was the same thing with whoever the locks. If you're saying you're on gangster time and Jay Z sees you and nothing gangster happens, I don't think he could take anything else you're saying serious. That's all. Now maybe I'm wrong for believing words that people write or words that people record. Maybe it's me. But I think Jay-Z is of that ilk to where he believes what you're saying. If you say you're on gangster time, oh, he's like, okay, well, I believe it.
Well,
And then when he's
I didn't think it was they was on that type of time from a street perspective. I think it was more so on a business perspective and more of a mental chess.
well, maybe I'm tripping, man.
Let me get the Mad
Maybe
Max to the super chat. LOL 50 was getting that Supreme. Let's not act like he not official. He also has Diamond LP. Hove don't. I'm not gonna put Hove in these child stuff, but 50 is certified. Mad Max with the
okay,
super
cool.
chat
So that's the
says,
time. That's the time Jay-Z expects you to be on. Since that because you're beefing at you beef on a high level, right? So that's the time Jay-Z is expecting. Now, if you're coming with some other type of time trolling, I'm sorry, Jay-Z is not from the troll. Do we ever know Jay for trolling in 30 years? So he only understands what you have said. You talk about you know you're busting your gun, you bust it, you're shooting everybody. You shot this guy, you shoot this guy, you shoot this guy. Well, that's the time we're expecting to
but
see.
no, but I think that's an isolated view of 50, Leroy. 50
I,
did have a lot of
I cool.
those gangster records and them street records, but he was also on that LL Ja Rule type of lady records with 21 Questions and Candy Shop and Magic Stick and
I understand, but I'm just
Disco
telling you.
Inferno and Best Friend. Like he had
Some
a
people
different.
believe you. Some people believe that what you're saying is actually true.
But he said a
I
lot
just
of
want to
different.
put that out
He
there.
said a lot of different things though, Leroy. It wasn't just. It was just wasn't
Okay, but you did say you're on that time. So we believe you, 50. That's all I'm saying. So if you come around on a different time than that, it's it now we kind of don't know if you're being
But I
serious.
mean,
Again,
even
we
back in the
joke too
day,
much. Some people don't do jokes.
even back in
You
the day, he
joke.
was joking. But he was back in the day, he
You
was
joke.
joking. When he was joking back in the day, when he played the curly character and he did all
I
the
understand.
Officer
Yeah, and
50
I
thing. So
understand.
50's always been doing this shit.
Yeah, and some people just don't joke. 50. That's what I'm saying. Like I'm not saying what you're doing is necessarily wrong. What I'm saying is you've put out such material that people believe you are who you say you are. So when you're joking, now they're not even going to respond in a way because they know that you're joking. Again, even jokes are lightweight serious. When someone makes a joke about you, they're really being serious. Just so we're clear. You know what I mean? When someone makes a joke about you trying to be funny, they're low key sending a shot because they mean what they're saying and they're upset. So but some people are not joking, like, and that's all I'm saying. And again, I'm not saying be on that time because that would make you an idiot. If you got on that time, that would make you crazy. Like nobody gets to a level of success and then goes backwards into but what am saying is you have presented yourself in a certain light and we believe you. So what do you want us to do? You know what I mean? Jay-Z believes you are who you say you are on record. So he's gonna respond to that. When you want to do that, that's what he'll respond to.
Right.
Anything else, anything else you want to make jokes, Jay ain't laughing. He not joking,
Let me get to the
you
super
know?
chat real quick. Matt Max with the super chat says, and I rocks with Hove, but I started my life in the projects too. They don't protect children in the hood. They turn young black boys into child soldiers who kill their own people. Mad Max with the super chat also says, um, and we never talk about all the children who get touched in the projects. Let's not act like that don't go on. But we have turned a blind eye to that. So the we protect the kids is where I know where I'm from is a lie. Well, Mad Max, there was an element in I'm not from the streets. I know people in the streets that grew up in the streets. I'm from the Hell, I'm
I
from the
mean,
I'm from the burbs, but I got element.
we're all
My
from A Street.
my
We're all
grandfather
from.
used to work. My grandfather was a ex-military guy. He was in the Navy and he worked on Rikers Island, so he knew a lot of things about the streets. Him being a correctional officer on the island, he kind of told us about how the kind of streets operated. He was in New York, and there were certain elements of the streets. Like if you was about that, if you were a real heavy street dude, you did protect if you saw a guy with talent, a kid with talent, like a kid was really smart, or a kid
Yeah,
he could play ball or was into music. You would protect them kids from. He would tell me that they would protect those kids from them elements. Like, nah, we don't want you. You got to get off this block. You got to go home. So there was some
right.
element of protection in the street. Sometimes there was street justice. If an uncle was jumping on his niece, and somebody told it, some of the guys in the street would go pay a visit. You know what I'm saying, and protect that young girl or that young boy in some cases. You know what I'm saying. So there's always been some element of protection in the streets, and I think that's one of the big myths that people, the square guys and the folks in the burbs or the people in the streets. There was always a connection. Back in the day, I heard a podcast from Tariq Nasheed. He was saying that
That's looked at
the,
as corny.
the
That's
civil
looked at as.
the civil
If
rights
you go,
movement. Let me finish.
go
The
ahead.
civil rights movement had people that were in the street that kind of helped the movement. Either bankrolling it or providing protection to the brothers that was trying to do positive in the community. So there's some disagreement there. But go ahead, Leroy.
I mean, yeah, if I go out in the street and say, yeah, I want to do something positive for the kids, I'm about their education, I'm about, their betterment as of just developing in a human beings, people gonna tell me that's corny. You're gonna be like, that ain't hip hop, you're being corny. That's what they're gonna tell me. So it's like we gotta really be real. Like we gotta really be real. Like and it's like either if we're gonna stand on something, stand on it all the way across the board. If we're not prepared to do that, then just save it, man. Just save it and be quiet because it's there is a now there is a level of criminality that exists in all cultures. Our culture is the only one that gets the spotlight. If I say this about any other culture, people are gonna rush to protect it. You know what I mean? But our culture, you just say anything. Now, if Andrew Schulz makes a joke about rape, it's cool. You know what I mean? Be one way across the board. Don't pick and choose when it's right to stand on a moral high ground. And if it's about the protection of children, then I think there needs to be a protection of content that's on records that children have access to hearing. But we're not going to go that far. And we're not going to go that far, people, because you don't want to go that far because you kind of like what you're hearing.
Right. And
Okay.
that's what we get into a slippery slope. I think the Andrew Schultz joke about Kendrick was sick. Wasn't kind of funny. It was very weird. But he made another point though. When Kendrick says you can't make jokes about white comedians can't make jokes about black women as law, he asked Kendrick, then why are you working with the creators of South Park? Because for years, because I think Kendrick and them have a movie coming out, the creators of South Park, and they've made offensive jokes about all types of people, including black women for years. Is that not law? You know what I'm saying? So,
No, it's not.
so where
No,
do we
it's
draw?
not law.
So where do we
No,
draw the line?
because Kendrick was talking about you. Kendrick wasn't talking about what he
Well,
does.
no, he said white
Kendrick
comedian.
as a Kendrick as a black man has the right to make a comment about black people. Sorry, Andrew. He's also a black man. You ain't got them type of privileges. Now you may hang out with Charlemagne. You may hang out with people saying it's cool for you to speak on us, but no, sir. Now you're gonna do it anyway because you want to be tough. That's what your extra comment. Oh, if I was locked up in a room with me and Kendrick by ourselves, yada yada yada. You want to be tough, right? And I'm not gonna get on your level with you because then I'll be looked at as the bad guy. But that's what Andrew. You want to be tough, but no, sir. You cannot speak on black women. You cannot speak on all the negatives of our culture and be like, yeah, well, black rappers been talking about hitting women with sticks and getting fellatio and you are, sir, you cannot speak on our culture like that because what I know that you don't know is violence against women was already going on before hip hop, but you ain't gonna go there. and it goes on in all the cultures. But you gonna narrow it down to us. But you not gonna say nothing about your own culture. I promise you, there will be not one word said negatively about your own culture. So don't speak on mine because you can run that next to Charlemagne. You can't run that next to a person like me. And I'm not trying to be tough, but it's like our culture doesn't protect itself. So it needs somebody to put that on the table. Like, nah, certain people can't speak on our culture. Sorry, but
But would you say it's
you not black.
would you say it's
Not black.
hypocritical for him to have smoke for Andrew Schulz, but yet work with the creators of South Park
Yeah,
on a project?
yeah, because Kendrick can do what Kendrick chooses to do, but you, regardless of if Kendrick goes left or right, you're still wrong speaking on the way you're speaking about our culture. That's regardless of whatever Kendrick decides to do.
So so
What
so
Kendrick Yeah, when Kendrick doesn't give you a pass. That's what you're saying. Kendrick gives you a pass. That's not how it works, fam.
so
You
so
know
so
what I
so
mean?
so blanket statement. So no white comedians can make jokes about black people at all. Is that what we're saying?
To me, no. Now, to you and everybody else, yeah, y'all are free to do whatever you want, say
So
whatever
so
you
so so
want,
Gary Owen,
do
all of Gary
anything
Owen's
you want.
shows, need to be canceled because most of the audience of Gary Owen shows are black. So
I'm just saying,
everybody should get.
you can't run that on me. You can run that
I'm
on
not. I'm
other
asking.
black people.
I'm asking. What would you suggest? So every Gary Owen person that bought a ticket to his show should refund their tickets. They should get a refund. So no
There are
black white.
certain type of black people. There are black people that don't care when white people make fun of black people. They think it's funny. I honestly think it's funny. I'm just cut a little bit different. Now there are levels to jokes too. When Gary Owens makes a joke, let's judge how offensive is it really. Now if you make a joke that's really offensive, again, I'm a funny person in real life. I make jokes, but the only thing is I try not to offend because if I'm offending someone, what I'm lightweight telling them is I want smoke. I want a problem. That's why I'm
Leave more.
offending.
Did you hear the
So
Andrew? I'm not.
I don't do the offensive joke.
I'm not an Andrew Schultz apologist. I can give a rat's ass about the dude. But was that joke?
Yeah,
Was that
yeah.
joke really offensive? Was that joke truly offensive that he said? Was that an offensive joke? Let's
And
keep it a buck.
again,
I've heard some offensive jokes. Was that an offensive joke? Let's just keep it a bean. Was
I,
that an
I'm
offense?
not willing. I'm not willing to say anything about anybody unless I'm willing to say it directly to them in front of them. If I'm not willing to go that far, I'm not going to say it on camera or away a million miles away from them. So if you're willing to say what you said to Kendrick directly, well then, have at it, man. Have at it.
No,
But what
I ain't talking about the Kendrick joke. I didn't like his response talking about he going to do this to Kendrick. I thought that was corny and whack. I'm talking about the joke about that sparked this whole bar from Kendrick on Whacked Out Murals
I'm
about black women. Was his joke that offensive to warrant even a bar? That's what I'm asking.
I'm somebody who grew up reading a lot, reading about our history. So no, you can't get off a joke about black women in front of me. Now, for other people, I realize that you're saying, well, it's just comedy, and that's fine. But from my understanding, when you give somebody a pass, what you're letting them know is they could just run rapid all through your house because you're giving them a pass. This is why he's able to keep going and double down and stand on it and kind of back everybody black, kind of back the whole culture down. You know what I mean? Because you giving them a pass to just do whatever. Well, no, around me, sir, no. And that's not. And I'm saying me, but I'm saying me as in there are certain types of black men that you will not be able to get that joke off on. So I'm not just saying me as in just me personally. I'm saying there are certain kinds of black men who it's like when a white dude says the N word. You can't get that off around us. It's not gonna fly. You know what I
Right.
mean?
And
Now
I
around other
get
black people, you could get that off. There are white dudes you could get the N word off around certain type of black people, and they'll just accept it. But you can't get that off around me.
I got
That's
you, but I think comedy is one of those things where it's supposed to be offensive, it's supposed to be funny, it's supposed to be provocative. I don't go to a comedy club and hope that
Mm.
someone's not offended. It's going somebody either fat, ugly, skinny, broke,
Right.
rich. Somebody's gonna get offended because they might make a joke about broke folks, or making folks about fat folks, or
But we
skinny
come from
folks,
different worlds.
or people that eat too much. I mean, it's gonna be a comedians do funny jokes. Like, I mean, that's what they do. Like my son made a joke. I think he's gonna grow to be a stand up comedian. He says, "Daddy, you look like a turkey." I said, Why I look like a turkey? Your belly's big." I mean, it's an
Yeah, I mean,
offensive
yeah.
joke.
Your
I mean,
kids can
jokes.
make fun of you.
I
Your
mean,
kids can make
but
fun
when
of you.
I
They
go
got
to
a
a
pass.
comedy show, I think we live in a politically correct world where people can't make jokes, and I think that's a slippery slope. Let me get to the super chat real quick.
As a
Matt,
rapper, I can't say anything I want because I can get arrested for certain lyrics
no,
as a
yeah, you
rapper.
can't. Eminem says what he
Yes, I can.
wants.
Yes, I can.
Brother Lynch Hook, 666 Mafia.
When I
Hell,
go to do a show and when I go to do a show in a suburban area, if violence pops off as a result of my lyrics, I will be charged with inciting criminal activity.
we just need
So
to get a
I can't say anything that I want as a rapper
well, you
because
gotta get a good lawyer. A good lawyer,
there are protections in place.
a good lawyer, Leroy, will get you off. We'll get you off on that. Let me get to the super chat real quick. Laughing my ass off. This shit was the same with Schulz. This is the same Schulz that made a joke about Latina women's in a Latina woman's face about how fertile they are, and so that's why they call them whatever they call them. I won't read it out. I mean, he been doing this, and he's a shock comedian.
Yeah,
That's what
I
he
mean,
does. That's
and
what he
for
does.
for a lot of people, it's cool. Again, with me, I know that people not really joking. They're joking because they're keeping it safe, but they actually really mean what they're saying. So at that point, I know it ain't no joke. Now, if you got any white folks that are your friends that keep it real with you, they'll tell you, like, nah, when white folks make jokes about black people, that's how they really feel. They're putting it off in a way to where it's jokey, but they really feel like what they're saying. So when I know that, see, you can't get that off. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Now maybe I take things just too serious in a real life scenario. It's not like I'm gonna jump on this person or something's gonna pop off. I'm just gonna say, sir, like I'd rather not hear that them kind of jokes. Like you can't get that joke off. Like you know what I'm saying? Like I don't know what
What
black women you know that will let that give you a pass, but the black women I know are gonna look at you like you shouldn't be speaking about them. You know what I mean?
It's funny, I'm a person that likes Bill Burr. Bill Burr makes offensive jokes, and so he's married to a
Right,
black woman. And he talks about how he's got him a sister. And I find it funny. You know what I'm saying? I've gone to Bill Burr
right,
shows, and I went to the Bill Burr show in Dallas. I've been to Bill Burr in Atlanta. I've been to Bill Burr. My wife is a
right.
black woman. She likes Bill Burr. I don't get offended by the jokes. You know what I'm saying? I
But
go to,
again,
you know what I'm saying? I just don't.
comedians get hurt when they go out on the road. They get hurt. They get attacked in the parking lot. They get punched on. They get hurt. So why does that happen? It's
Well, they
because
shouldn't. They shouldn't.
you're
That
saying
shouldn't
something
happen.
as a rapper, if I get off stage and I'm in another person's city, somebody can approach me like, bro, what was all that stuff you were saying about how you like you're like some type of gangster? Like,
But
what's that about?
why do you go?
Somebody
Why
could
would somebody? I think that's problematic though. Why would somebody go to a comedy show and get upset when a comedian makes an offensive joke? You
it
paid your
happened.
money. That's like you go to a front row. I know when my wife and I go to comedy clubs, I try not to make eye contact with the comedian. You know what I'm saying? I try not to wear my cowboy boots and cowboy hat. I'm trying not to wear nothing crazy. And if he
Yeah.
roasts me, how am I going to get offended? You know what I'm saying? Because he
Yeah, I
roasted
know.
me. You know what I'm
I've
saying?
been roasted. I've been roasted at the comedy club, and I just laughed it off. But I've also seen people not laugh it off. Like, so what I'm saying, what I'm saying is they have the right to say whatever they want, but then don't complain about the consequence in the parking lot. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have the right to say whatever, but when the parking lot comes, well, you have the right to take whatever comes with that. That's
Yeah,
all.
I just
And
think that.
again, that's not being tough. That's common sense. If I'm openly offending people, they have the right to get mad. I mean, what do you want me to say? Like, you know what I'm saying? I can't go out there just offending groups and then when someone approaches me, be like, oh well, I was really just joking. They're gonna be like, nah. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
but I hear you.
let me get to the super chat real quick. Matt Max with the super chat says, and if you pull this card when they say black comedians can't talk about them, then what? Because I've heard black comedians cook the Jewish community, European whites, etc. So yeah, it's a slippery slope. It's a slippery slope.
Yeah, I mean, again, if you can say it, then you also have to deal with what happens in the parking lot. That's it. That do you did I don't know, maybe I'm not maybe that's not a clear message. If I go out into a crowd and say, you know, if there are anybody from this side of town in this building, you know, that side of town is weak. Well, or I make a joke that's like, you know, or if I go into an Italian neighborhood and I'm like, you know, Italian women, they be kind of acting crazy. Italian women, you know, they get mad and they yoke up on you like they are dudes. Well, when I leave and I'm in the parking lot and some Italians approach me, then you know, I got to deal with what I said because I said it. I don't know what more you want me to say. You know what I mean? So you can joke, but be willing to deal with what comes with the joke. That's all. And as a rapper, yes, if you are at a show and they want to pin a crime on you for something that you did not do, just based on the tone of your lyrics, that could get dicey for you. And yes, a good lawyer will get you out of that situation if, depending on the level of that situation, if the level escalated to where it was a body, then you may have some repercussions on your hands. You know what I mean? Because we can't, as rappers, we think we could say anything in other people's towns. That's not really reality. Some towns, they're going to check you like, hey, this song you got right here, you ain't performing that up in here. And if you do, we'll cut the sound off. We'll escort you right out the building.
We will agree to disagree on this. I think comedy should be comedy. I have no problem with it. I think that Kendrick, I just think that's kind of even though I liked Gen X, I think that was a pandering line. I think that, I really don't like that line. I think Schultz's response to Kendrick was whack, kind of lame. Didn't appreciate that. But I think a joke is a joke. People should just lighten up and just have a good time. Go to the comedy show. Don't go to the parking lot, try to put hands on nobody. But let's get back to somebody who's like a comedian in hip hop, depending on how you look at it, based upon his IG post, his Twitter post, and the way he's been rocking. 50 was on Camron's show. Camron's got this new show, I think, like a talk show, kind of You're Welcome or something like that. Talked about a few things. Talked about his new business endeavors. Talked about how he's moving in the game. Leroy, you
Yeah.
saw the interview. What was your thoughts on the interview? And he talked about Jay-Z. Let's talk about
Yeah,
that. So
my thoughts are just the same as I just said. 50's always talking about how some people are if somebody's competing with him, right? So I got no problem with that. If somebody's competing with you, what music are you talking about? Is there an album in the last 10 years that you think that rappers are competing with you about? Are they competing with you about Get Rich or Die Trying? What is the competition musically that you say people are competing with you with? Because I don't have no new 50 Cent album. I haven't had no new 50 Cent album in I don't know how long, and I don't know your this hot music that you have out here that people are competing with. What music are you talking about? Just for clarification, because I don't know. I haven't heard that. You know what I mean? So
right,
I don't know what you're talking about, sir. That's
right.
all.
Let me get to these two super chats, and I want to talk about specifically next about 50's comments about Jay-Z trying to block him from the Super Bowl, and how do we read into that? And that could be why there's been this little silent cold war between the two over the years. Maybe that played a part into it. Um, Mad Max with the super chat says, and Ron, let's be specific. Dot has a movie with the South Park creators about an interracial relationship during where the black guy finds out his girl's family owned during during slavery. He always rapping about what? Good point, Mad Max. Jermaine Johnson with the super chat says, Schulz, only miscalculation is trying to deliver offensive jokes that's meant for a comedy club on a podcast in the era of clip culture. Yep, it may not be the right format for that. He's a shock comedian.
Nah, you're a white man. Like, don't be talking about our culture. You talk about your culture, sir. Our culture, you can't speak on that.
So we need to talk to Trap Lord Ross then, because Trap Lord Ross has made a come up about
Any
our
of
culture.
y'all,
Trap Lord
any
Ross,
of y'all
I
that
think
in
Trap Lord Ross is more damaging than Andrew Schulz, because you know who Trap Lord
any
Ross is, right?
no, I don't know who that is. But
Trap Lord
any of
Ross makes these documentaries about, especially about, gangster rap and drill rap and all this other stuff about real life elements within our quote unquote culture that, that have negative aspects. You think he's from he thinks he's from London or something like that. But look up Trap
yeah,
Lord Ross.
none of you white folks can speak on my culture.
Huh?
Because if you're going to do that, well, let me get the platform and the time to tell you about your culture. That way we can have a fair exchange. Since my culture is so bad, so evil, so terrible. Okay, that okay. Let me talk about what your culture has also been involved in. And we could just sling mud then. But until then, no, anybody white, you cannot speak on this culture. Now, certain people, they have shown a level of responsibility when they talk. Eminem, he has shown a level of being responsible when he talks to where he's not trying to offend black people. There are other people. Gary, you mentioned Gary Owens. He has shown some level of sense to where he knows I probably shouldn't be offending black people. So there's certain white people that, yeah, they could talk because they have exhibited certain discipline. They're not trying to offend us. But the ones that are trying to offend us, no, no, that will never be cool, ever, never.
So
So
so on the Camron show, again, for folks that just now tuning in, um, 50 was on Camron's show, his podcast, talk show, whatever you want to call it, for an interview. And he said that Jay-Z tried to block his Super Bowl performance. And that Eminem and Dr. Dre, no, Eminem and Dr. Dre had to step in on his behalf. And then Eminem specifically said he wasn't going to do it unless 50 was on the stage. Jay-Z, according to 50, initially said that the NFL had a problem with 50 being on the stage. And 50 thought that was odd because he's doing some brand deals with the NFL with his beverage company, his liquor company, and that was a total fabrication or an outright lie. What did you think about that tidbit from 50, and why do you think that Jay-Z tried to block 50 from being on the Super Bowl stage?
my whole thing is 50. Your whole brand is based on you being a tough guy. So who cares? If someone tries to block you, you're a tough guy. Who cares?
But this
Now,
is business though. But this ain't about
I
being
don't think
tough. This ain't
Jay-Z,
about
I
being
don't think
tough. In the moment, it
no,
wasn't
it
about
is
being tough.
about
It's
being
about
tough.
being
That's
about
your
business.
brand. Your brand is about being tough. I'm sorry. That's what your brand is. Now, I don't think Jay-Z is worried about you. I don't think Jay-Z cares whether you're there or not because you were there. So I don't know how someone tries to block you, but then you're also there. Make it
No,
make sense.
the only reason why he
Make
was
it
there,
make sense.
no, they said Dr. Dre and Eminem stood on their square and said, "We won't do the show. We'll back out the show unless 50's on stage," and that's the only reason why 50. So they kind of backed Jay into a corner. My question is, why
I
would
think it's
Jay?
cap. I think it's cap. You have a song called "In the Club," which is one of the most biggest songs in rap history, correct? So you're telling me that as smart as Jay-Z is, he's like, nah, I don't want "In the Club" at the Super Bowl. I think you're capping because the business sense in my mind knows Jay-Z thinks about impact. Now you're telling me he's looking at "In the Club" and he don't consider impact. Now
Yeah,
that
but I
was the
mean,
biggest Super Bowl show. Now granted, nobody ever liked us at the Super Bowl until Jay-Z got there. Now everybody's mad at Jay-Z, but we were never liked before.
but
So
but
now that one person tries to help, now he's the bad guy.
But no, but I understand that's a different argument. What I'm saying is that I don't think if 50 didn't perform at as a Super Bowl halftime show, if it was just Snoop, Dre, Eminem, Mary, and maybe they plugged in 50 for game, the show still would have been big. My
In the
question,
club,
it was
Jay-Z's turning down "In the Club" at the Super
well,
Bowl.
apparently, according to 50's account, unless 50's is making up a story, They
but you're
he
50 Cent. Yes, you cap.
okay.
50 Cent, you cap. Let's be real, 50. You don't cap.
Okay, so the
You
question
don't
again,
cap 50.
so say 50's story was true. Why if the story was true, let's just take it for face value and say 50's being 100.
Yeah, I don't take that.
50's being 100. Y'all get the pun on that? 50 being 100. If 50's being 100 and what he's saying is true, why do you think Jay tried to block him from the show?
I don't know what blocking you does for Jay-Z. So again, like if I'm blocking somebody, it has to benefit me. If it doesn't benefit me at all, I don't know what the block is about. If anything, I want to see you at the Super Bowl. Like, I'm not a hater. Now, Jay Z has been framed as the person that sits around hating other people. I don't think, I think he worries about himself, his kids, and what he's doing. I don't think he has hatred for another person. Now, again, blocking you for what exactly am I blocking you for? That's the only, like, with blocking you for what? I asked Dr. Dre to be here. One of Dr. Dre's biggest songs ever is in the club. You don't think I know that? So again, Fifth, I think you want an issue with Jay because attaching an issue with Jay is good for your business. That's good. That's good for business for you, and I applaud that move. But the whole thing is, again, your brand is built on being a tough guy. I'm not saying physically go out and be tough. What I'm saying is you shouldn't be worried about somebody. You're in the hip hop business, so every day somebody blocks you from something. That's every day. So I mean, why does this day any different? There is something that you're trying to do which you get blocked at all the time in hip hop.
Well, that's a
That's
little
just
bit.
the nature of
It's a
the
little
business.
bit different. It's the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? It's a little bit
That's
different.
just the nature of the business. You get blocked all the time. So what difference does it make? And again, sir, I watched the Super Bowl. You were there. So what blocking are you really talking about? And again,
It was
if
an
I
attempted
ask
block. It was an
Dr. Dre,
attempted block. It was an attempted block because he said
you're
Dr. Dre and Eminem stood on their
capping
square,
because you're
and that's why he
capping.
was
You
there.
know you lying. You know you lying. But again, if I ask Dr. Dre to come perform somewhere, I know for a fact you're showing up
But I
because you're. I mean, with if Dr. Dre didn't do that in the club, that would be kind of crazy. That wouldn't even make sense.
and I got to go back and look at it though, Leroy. I think Eminem even said that he had to intervene. I got to go back and find, and I may be wrong, so fact check me. I think even Eminem corroborates the story, saying he had to step in to allow 50 to perform at the Super Bowl. So 50 doesn't strike me
That's
as a
fine.
50.
But
50 doesn't
again, like,
strike me as a liar. He doesn't strike me as somebody that's not telling the truth. You know what I'm saying?
but as a tough guy, why does that matter if your whole brand is I'm tough?
But not
So
50,
someone
but
trying to block you,
he's transitioned out of that, Leroy. He's not just saying he's not just a tough guy anymore. He's a businessman. And
I I I I have a certain.
as a businessman, another man is trying to block his business opportunity. That's where he's saying, "Yo, what's up with this?" Where
I
Mad
will
Max is
also
touching.
tell you this:
Mad
not
Max is
everything is personal. 50. You think everything in business is personal against you? I got news for you, 50. Not everything is personal. Sometimes it's purely off business. They will, oh, we giving you 15 minutes. You got to fit a show in 15 minutes, and decisions get made, and it's not even personal.
yo. Mad Max is touching on this a little bit. He says Mad Max says 50 Cent Hove trying to compete past music though. He's trying to compete past
Mhm.
music though. LOL. He's saying Hove taking it
Mhm.
past music, like Hove 50 something, 50 either 50 or close to it. 50 just saying the games Hove play in this competition is corny. Then Mad Max
What
was
competition? What playing field is Jay on with you? Where? Where is the do y'all compete on with power? What show does Jay-Z have
well,
competing with
they've
power?
always kind of competed. You know, the S. Dot Carter back in the day. You had the Reebok deal. They were forced to be
Jay-Z
in a
didn't
commercial
compete with you.
together. 50 had the
Jay-Z
G, 50 had the Gina sneakers. You
Jay-Z did
had
not compete with you. Jay-Z, if we want to put the sneaker thing, okay. But Jay-Z's mixtape wasn't against you, 50. That was just
But
Jay-Z
not at the
mining.
time, though. At the time, it was competition, and rumor has it, and people from New York can kind of speak to it. I think some folks in New York in the chat that follow us, they said the reason why Jay-Z retired because of 50's wave.
But why? Why does your success bother me? Why? Like how?
I mean, that's
I
you.
think
That's you
when
though, and
Jay-Z
that's you.
in 96, Jay-Z said, I'm gonna retire. In 97, Jay-Z said, I'm gonna retire. In 98, he said, I'm gonna retire. You see the pattern I'm presenting here? So by the time 2003 comes around, we've heard Jay-Z say he was gonna retire about 10 times
That is true.
before you even hit the scene. This guy has always been talking about, yeah, well, I'm out the game after this one. He said that on Reasonable Doubt.
That's a good point, Leroy. But that's a very valid point. It's a very strong argument. But the only time he did black out was when 50 came on the scene. That's the only time he did it. Let me get the Mad Max super chat real quick. We'll finish this up. He says, laugh from my ass. So Leroy, black comedians have been slinging mud to white culture. And Eminem has tapes called the racist hour, where he called black women ninja, female dogs, etc. We just act like M is different. He's not.
No, when Eminem goes outside in Detroit, he has to deal with whoever he offended. So again, you can say what you want, just don't complain when the consequence comes. Like if you're going to be a black dude and you're going to go to a white town and disrespect the white people in the white town, you have the right to do that. But don't be mad when you're walking to your car after and people have a problem with you. You decided to disrespect them. So what I'm saying, if you're going to be a white comedian and you're going to disrespect black culture, have at it. Have at it. But when something happens to you, please don't cry to me or cry
But
about.
again, ain't nothing finna go. Nothing really be happening to them like that. You know what I'm saying? And nothing to really. We more likely
Yeah,
to fight.
because we're not
We
serious.
we more
We're
we're more
not
likely
serious
we're more
about
likely to
business.
fight somebody that's heckling us at a comedy show, or the comedian roasting us, and we catching our own people in the parking lot. We ain't gonna
Yeah,
be
because
catching no.
we're only serious when the other person is black. If the person's white, they got free range to do and say anything. And we gonna let it ride. We soft. We soft. Other communities not like that. If you go into an Asian community and you try to get that off, you can't get that off. You go into a Mexican community, try to get that off, can't get that off. You go into a Jewish community, etc., etc. You cannot get that off because you ain't gonna get out of there. We gonna let you ride because we soft.
Well, I don't think Andrew Schulz is doing any shows in College Park, Georgia. And I don't think he's doing any shows there, so I think he's okay. Jermaine Johnson with the super chat says, um, the only time 50's ever touched the Super Bowl stage is when Hove placed him there. But Hove is the bad guy? Question mark. But see, that's the thing. Let's just take it. We're having two different arguments. The argument is not whether the Hove didn't, according to 50, Hove didn't want to place him on the stage. The only reason why he was placed on the stage because Dr. Dre and Eminem intervened. So it wasn't
So
like,
you were there. So you were on stage. Okay.
yeah,
So you got what you wanted. Okay.
yeah. But the question is
Yeah, it's no.
why? Well, question is why. We're
I
trying to
think
which
why
we're trying to impact. We're trying to unpack this question. We're trying to understand if what 50 is saying is true. Why would Jay do make a move like that? Is he being competitive in a business way and doesn't want to? He's trying to block. He sees that 50's moving with the NFL. 50's got his liquor at the Jacksonville Jaguar Stadium, at the Houston Texas Stadium. He's making brand deals with all these NFL teams. And he's trying to block, isolate 50 from these
50.
opportunities. What's
50.
the
You
what's the
you
what's the
think
why?
Jay is a sucker, 50. Let's be real. You think Jay is a sucker. And you want an issue with Jay. Let's be real. You want that. And Jay knows that. But Jay doesn't want that with you because he doesn't look at you like you look at him. We've all been in the streets before, right? We know the guy who wants a problem with you, and you just give him no attention because it's like, what do you gain from the conflict? You gain nothing. And that's how Jay-Z looks at this. And 50, you've been trolling Jay for long enough. We're talking about 20 years of you trolling. So I know you don't like Jay, and you have an issue. So this is a continuation of your trolling. I'm sorry. Jay doesn't see you as a problem because I think Jay knows whatever money you make does not affect his family. So I don't think he has a problem. Now you have a spirit in you to where you always have, because it's not just Jay, but you always have to antagonize or poke or troll or mess with, because again, your brand is about bullying and being tough. So I understand your brand is about, I gotta go out here and like try to punk this person so my fans believe I'm tough. I get it. That's the move, and I see it. Jay sees it. We all know that's what your brand, and we applaud that. Be tough. Be tough. But not everybody is gonna entertain that 50. So again, if Jay tried to block you, the good news is he didn't. Now I don't know in what world Jay is blocking in the club at the Super Bowl, but if that's what you think he was doing, you know, okay.
Well, we'll see, man. Check out the interview with Cam, and I want to get 50 on the show. I want to get 50 on the show one day. We can ask him these questions straight up, and because I like the
Yeah.
50. I like 50. I think 50 is doing some interesting things in Shreveport,
Yeah.
Louisiana. Um,
50 is dope, but people act like it's 2003. Every time 50 comes up, people act like Get Rich or Die Trying just came out. I got news for you. It's been a long time since Get Rich or Die Trying was out. So this competitive, because you're speaking musically, 50. A lot of what you're speaking is musically your dominance over rap musically. I need to know what songs you are talking about. Because if you were made that argument in the early 2000s, I would agree with such an argument. But in 2024, you're out here saying that you are dominating this rap space. What with what music are we referring to? That's all I asked.
I gotta. We're gonna go to the next topic real quick. We're gonna go to Billboard's top 10 female rappers of 2024, and then after that, Leroy wants to give a preview of according hip hop
Uh-huh.
album of the years according to him. But before I say this, I think about music, and I reference music about points of time in my life where I was at. And I must confess that some of the best times I've ever had when I was a young man. I'm still a young man. Some of the best times I ever had in my life. 50 Cent was a soundtrack. I remember being in New York. There was this place called the Coffee Shop, and it was a coffee shop. It was a real, you might have seen it in movies, but it was like a real like date spot, but it was a real chill like lounge. It's called a coffee shop.
Right.
And that was the first time I heard I get it in, I get it in, I get it in. You know what I'm saying? I heard that. I was in LA and I was at this party, and the first time I heard Disco Inferno, the DJ just dropped it. It was like Little Mama, popping them things. I was in Texas. So 50's music was kind of like, it's kind of cinematic, man. So shout out to
Yeah, y'all
50. Shout
y'all
out to
are up on
50.
50's music like that. I'm not. You know what I mean? Like now back in the day that you're talking about, yeah. As of right now, am I still bopping around to Get Rich or Die Trying this with the same energy? I'm really not. You know, and that's not a diss. You could take any rapper and ask that same question and it would be the same. So it's not a diss, but I don't understand with this energy of, well, we got to compete with 50 Cent because he's 50 Cent. I don't know what energy that is about because I haven't heard new music from 50 in a very long time, and that's not a diss because you ain't got make music for what you're in TV now, so I get it. But what I'm saying, this whole energy of, well, we got to compete with 50 Cent. I don't know what that energy is about. You know
No
what I mean?
doubt. No doubt. Before I get to this list, this Billboard list, my computer's tripping right now, so I'm not going to be able to display it tonight. But you'll hear this list, and I'll make sure I don't. I'll say it in the most accurate way possible. Poets and Rhymes said they want us to stop saying female rappers. I didn't hear that. So what do they want us to say? If we can't call them
No, I
female,
mean the female rapper is a cool conversation. But if you go back to Rhapsody's album, which is probably gonna be my number seven album of the year. But I probably has seven. And, but if you she deals with a lot of things, but it's like we champion people that are not Rhapsody. So what side of the female spectrum are we gonna champion? The Rhapsody side of the female spectrum, or the Sexy Red, or the Cardi B or whatever? Again, I got no dog in that fight. It don't matter whatever side people choose, but Rhapsody speaks on a lot of these things on her album, which was a phenomenal album. Please Don't Cry, but people only want the moral high ground when it's somebody they can take down that they don't like. They don't want the moral conversation across the board, because then they're gonna make exceptions. Well, nah, you know, Rhapsody, she need to have more fun, or we'll come up with anything we can come up with. You know what I mean? But
Let's go to the
the
list. But let's go to the
yeah.
list real quick before. Just so I found in my office down here. I got the what is it? The 50th Law of Power. I didn't know I had this. I haven't even read it yet. 50 Cent and Robert Greene. I read the 48 Laws of Power, but I got to read this. So it was on the shelf.
Lastly, what I'm saying about 50, right? And a lot of people, everybody's so tough when they're online. Then when someone's actually talking about being tough, it's like, oh, you're tripping. But every other day you're tough. So I don't know. But the whole thing about being tough, right? It's very difficult to operate in the business world when people perceive you as believing what you're saying. And I'm sorry, but that's across the board in any business. If you are a 50 cent in a business environment, and it's not 50's, it's not a bad thing, or it's bad 50's fault. It's where he comes from, right? But people are looking at him at a standoffish type of way, only because that's how they know him. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
So
do. I do. But let's come
yeah,
back to that. Let's come back to that. Let's come back to Let me get to this list real quick so we can get, so I want you to cook up on your albums. The
yeah.
top 10 female rappers, according to Billboard, this is not our list. Number 10 is Cardi B. Cardi B had a couple joints this year. She did that she remade that Missy record. What else was she on in 2024? She had a couple records out.
I mean, with Cardi B though, I I don't know, but when we're talking about best rappers, I'm actually talking about the rapping.
Yeah,
Other
I
people
think
are
their
talking,
criteria is hottest. I said that so
yeah.
Billboard.
So their criteria is business. Whoever does the best business is the best rapper, because being hot is business. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so they take it. They said this list below takes into account the record quality, the chart success, the cultural buzz, notable business endeavors and partnerships, and touring success. So it's not about rapping ability. They said who's the hottest females in the game right now.
Yeah, as far as rapping goes, everybody here, y'all know I'm about rapping. So when you tell me someone's the best rapper, I'm looking at exactly what they're saying as raps.
So
So
we can re rank it. We can re rank it, but let's just go through Billboard's list. So Billboard had Cardi B at number 10. Number 9, they had Rhapsody. Interesting. She had
yeah,
Please Don't Cry came out, and I thought that's dope. That's on my list of top 10 albums of the year. But she's at number 9. Number 8 is JT from the City Girls. Um, JT had that song with Jeezy, which was dope. Um, she had a couple songs out, so JT was number 8. Number 7 was Doja Cat. I think Doja Cat had a tour. She had a big tour this year. So that kind of put her on the list. She headlined some festivals. And yeah, so Doja Cat's number 7. Doechie's number 6. Um, Doechie's got an album coming out. Her mixtape came out. Alligator Bites Never Heals. So she's number 6. Number 5. Now this is a travesty of justice. This is a travesty of justice. Number 5. This whole list is irrelevant now. Number 5, they have Lotto. That's number 5.
I hate lists, man, because the lists are just. I saw a list of Forbes lists. They got like It's crazy.
We
Like,
could talk
who
about
is
that too. We can get to that list too, but I don't even want to read this list no more. If Lotto's number 5, this whole list is invalid. She should be number 1, but that's neither
Only
here.
thing I'm saying is this, man, and this is no disrespect to the ladies because, granted, I'm the first one to want to have fun if it's about having fun records. When Snoop Dogg's album comes out, I'm likely gonna get hype. I'm telling you, because Snoop's album music is about having fun. I like to have fun, so a lot of other people not gonna be with that. Sorry. So I like having fun. However, my thing with Rhapsody is I've been watching Rhapsody for years push a certain line. Now, every topic that we say is important, she has pushed that line. So, at what point are we going to give her a spot at the top of if there's a female rap list? At what point has Rhapsody made enough raps to where she gets up there? Now, I know everybody wants to have fun. I'm not mad.
We can make
I,
our own list. We can make our own list, Leroy. We can rearrange this. We can remix this list because I disagree with this list. I think Lotto should be number 1, but that's neither here nor there. Number 4 uh, is Sexy Red.
yeah. I
Uh,
mean,
I, you know,
I I think if I read the reasoning behind why they picked them, it's going to have a lot to do with business, and I respect business. Again, I'm a big Jay-Z fan. I respect business. I'm a big Snoop fan. I respect business. But if you're talking about rapping, I'm thinking rapping. That because that's what you're saying, the best rapper. So business, you're kind of these lists kind of throw me off, especially when people are riding the fence. Because I know the people making these lists, they kind of agree with what I'm saying about rapping, but when I look at the list, it doesn't seem like you agree. So you know,
yeah, this list is getting kind of. So number 3, we got Nicki Minaj. Nicki Minaj had a big tour this year. I think it was an international tour. So, and I was surprised. Her tour,
yeah,
her tour is the fourth highest tour of any rapper ever. And I never would expect Nicki Minaj to be in this stage of her career to still sell tickets like that. She sold 788,000 tickets to her show. And she did
yeah.
arenas too. She wasn't
And,
doing like,
Mad Max is talking about what people are bumping. If it's about what people are bumping, then Drake is the greatest rapper of all time, and we're gonna have to just leave it there. If it's about who gets played the most, Drake is the greatest rapper of all time. So if we're gonna play that game, let's play that. Let's play it then. You know what I mean?
yeah. Number 2 is Meg The Stallion. And number 1 is Glorilla. Ice Spice did not make the list. Uh,
So okay. So
Scarlett did not make the list. Ice Spice didn't make the list. Who else didn't make the list? But yeah, let me get to the super chats real quick. We can talk about this list. Jermaine Johnson with the super chat says, he never retired or intended to. Perfect time to say goodbye when I come back like Jordan wearing the 4-5. It ain't to play games with you, Hove, Encore the Black Album. Matt Max with the super chat says, most women don't bump Rhapsody.
here's why I think Jay Z has always talked about retiring, because I think Jay Z is better at business. Jay Z is a business person that would like to do business. So when you're rapping, it takes a lot of time out of you doing business when you're rapping. So that's the only reason why I think Jay-Z has talked about retiring, is because he wants to do like he's a businessman, you know what I mean? And that's just he wants to do business. So yes, he has a gift in rapping and but he's always wanted to do business. But there's a calling also to rap. So that's the only reason why I think, as far as it's the notion that 50 would make someone want to retire. I think Jay applauds other people having success. Some people just are not, they don't hate. So I don't think Jay is like, oh no, someone else is having success. I think he's okay with that. And I think if someone sells more records with them, I think he can applaud that. Like when DMX came out and sold 10 million, I think on tour with DMX, he was like, you know what, DMX, your album's fire. Like, bro, your album's fire. I don't think he's sitting back let me just hate on you because you're successful. I don't think Jay is like that. You know what I mean? So, hey, you know what I mean? I think he's want to retire just because he can function in the business world at a better capacity when he doesn't have to release music. You know what I mean?
I'm surprised Ice Spice didn't make the list though. Ice Spice was hot. Maybe she waited too long to drop her album on Y2K because Y2K did come out this year. Um, it wasn't really well received, but I'm surprised she didn't make the album. I'm surprised that and my New York people can tell me if I'm wrong. I thought Scarlett would have more of a buzz this year, but she
Yeah.
didn't. So it's this list of surprises. We're gonna come up with our own list based upon skill, based upon mic skills, and we'll put together. But again, spoiler alert, number one on my list, you know who it is. You know what I mean? But go ahead, Leroy.
But and this is also why I got an issue with people speaking on our culture from outside the culture. I know why Sexy Red is put above Rhapsody. I know why. I know the business of that. It comes from outside the culture to place certain people on top of other people. And so this is why, and I know that, and a lot of people don't know that. So when you speaking on our culture as if we personify all the bad things, you didn't talk about Rhapsody. Does she personify all the negativity you're speaking about? You know what I mean? So, but again, that I'm not gonna keep it there. But as far as my lists go, you know, I care about rapping, and that's really gonna make it kind of weird in this space because the other people really don't care about rapping. They care about the numbers. That's really what that's how they judge rapping, off numbers. I judge rapping off actually rapping. So that my ear is gonna be different. You know what I mean? So, and that's not a shot at Ice Spice or other people because they got to do what they got to do. But the reason why I don't think Mad Max, I don't think you're bumping Ice Spice. I don't think you're bumping Glorilla. I don't think, you know what I mean. Now maybe you are, and I don't know, but I think that their music is kind of like it's very light. They're taking you into shallow waters a lot of time. It's not that deep. Now I know Glorilla also has the Christian music on her stuff too, but their music is very light. So, and that's easier for people to. It's like candy. She's giving you candy. She's not making you a soul. She's not making you a plate of with all the stuff on the plate. She's giving you candy, and that's what people want now. So they don't understand why having a good meal musically is important. You know what I mean? So, but I'm gonna stand where I stand on that. You
Before
know?
you get to before you get into the your albums preview, again, we're putting together a special show. We'll be announcing this soon, a year end show where we all give our album of the years, our moments of the year, verses of the year. Um, we're gonna do this like an award show, we might go do. I might put on a tuxedo. You know what I mean?
Okay. Okay.
I might wear my fitted, my tux. You know what I mean? Might
All
do it real
right.
fly. We're gonna do like a little online virtual
Okay.
pod award show. But anyway, I did see the Megan Thee Stallion documentary on Amazon, and I want to give a quick review of it. I thought it was put together really well. Learned a lot about Megan as an MC, where she came from. Her dad, she lost her dad at a very young age.
Right.
She lost her mother right when she was coming up. She said she was influenced by her mother. She would see her mother writing rhymes and rapping, and I don't know if her mom actually rapped or put out any records, but her
Yeah.
mom was a big influence in her career, kind of guided her. Her mom got sick, and she transitioned. That had a big impact on her.
Yeah, so her
Um,
story is very deep. It's not her story in real life is a deep story. So to not have access to that musically is I help me understand. You know what I
well,
mean?
again, she's rapping. I don't. She's got
I
some introspective records, but most of her records are freak records.
I mean a lot of the women,
I guess you could call them their freak
a
records.
lot of the women, y'all story is very deep. I'm talking about outside of what you're displaying. Your real life is actually very deep. Of it was a lot of substance. There's a lot of stories. There's a lot of overcoming and triumphing over adversity. So when I hearing your music and I don't hear your story,
But that's this the freak stuff is their story. Leroy, her mom, they show behind the scenes footage of her mom was like really coaching her how to rap and how to twerk and what kind of outfits to wear, like how to drop it. That
I'm
freak,
not mad.
the freak shit might be her story. Her big song that broke her was called "Big Old Freak." I mean,
I know you deeper than that. I know you got something deeper than that. Just the fact, like again, and I'm a man, so I come from the male perspective. Our stories are actually way deeper, but we come in like, well, let me give you the gangster story because that's what's gonna sell. We got another story that's deeper than that, that involves more things of aspects of life, but we gonna give you what sell, just destroying people sells. So now when I see the females following suit. Well, we gonna give you sex. Well, we know sex is a part of life. We understand that. We like that. But you also have a deeper story. So can I get a balance? Maybe can I get a balance? Because I want to hear you overcoming your adversities and getting to where because I know it's there. So can I hear that? It's for inspiration to other girls that may want to uh, overcome their issues. We started the show talking about a particular violation that is rampant in communities all around America.
what if her?
I
What if
mean,
her? What if she just wants to be a freak, Leroy? That's the only thing she wants to be.
hey, I'm just saying for me to judge you on rapping, to me, someone with a good balance is a good rapper. I mean, in my opinion, if you're just giving me freak off, freak off, freak off, freak off, and people will say, well, that's what Little Kim did. No, Little Kim actually have other records. That's what Foxy did. That's what even Nicki. Go back to the Pink Print. She had her stories about more than sex. So it's like, give me uh give me a balance, man, so I could really hear the humanness of your story. That's all
But you
I'm
know what
saying.
though? But you know what? The documentary made her human, and it made me. My wife and I watched it together, and she's like, she seems like a very smart girl, and she's been through some things. Why is she always why is she sticking her tongue out all the time? And I was like, well, baby, I don't know. Maybe she's just a big old freak. I don't know why she sticks her tongue out. I think it's her trademark thing. She seemed like a nice person. They touched on the Tory Lane situation, and that was a real tragic situation because I think it was kind of was her friend was in the car. That her friend, one of her best friends, and she had a situation with Tory, and we don't. It was just a wild situation, but
Yeah.
it made
I mean, I don't blame
it
them.
humanized her in a way. It made me feel sorry for her because because to your point, Lee, where I'm watching her, I'm seeing this girl. She seems very intelligent. She seems to have a good disposition about it, but every 5 seconds she's twerking and sticking out her tongue, and I'm like, why is she always making these records about? I mean, I get it. She thinks and then she says she's taking over sexuality, and it's not about she said if men can be sexual, then she can do it too. So a lot of her disposition was contradicting what I saw because I saw an
Right.
artist that could be used for the light, and I'm not trying to be overly righteous or whatever. It could be used for light, but there's a lot of
Yeah.
dark elements in her music, and she's leading young ladies down one of the craziest lyrics is like, I ride him for a car note. I'm like, damn, man, this is and even in my
It's
girl Lotto, she said, she spend that 500 before I ever trap you. When I interview, I'm gonna ask her about that. What are we feeding these little girls that's listening to these records, man? Or
I
even the
mean,
young men, because young men grow up liking these. I heard a young brother say he liked ratchet girls. He said, I like a ratchet chick. I like a chick that's wild. And he's liking these women based upon the records that he's hearing. He wants a chick like that raps crazy like Megan or Cardi B.
that's cool. The reality is this. The reality is this: when you meet the girls, that's like, well, I'm ratchet. Or I like a hood nigga. So that's how I'm gonna treat you, because you're telling me how to treat you. So then after we do what we do, they're like, well, why are you so non-emotional? Like you don't want a relationship. Excuse me. That's how you told me to operate with you. So I'm treating you how you told me. If you're a freak, I'm going to deal with you on freak terms because that's what you told me to do. So we gotta be real, you know what I mean? And as far as pushing a sexual line, again, I was born in this hip hop culture. If you tell me, well, I'm a freak, you think that's the first time I heard that? It's just like the rappers come, well, I'm really from the street. You think it's the first time I heard that? So we got to pick different things to stand on because you're picking the same thing that I've heard 1,000 times. I'm a real freak. Okay, like what? I don't know why you think you're so different than the other freaks that was here last weekend. Like, yeah, I don't know what about your freakiness is a new revelation in freak world, freakdom. You know what I'm
Some
saying?
of them lyrics, yeah, it was like, well, damn, she wild with it. I never heard her articulate in such a way that it was articulate. It's kind of creative. It's
Hey,
freaky creativity, I guess. But I don't
what
know.
what I'm saying is gonna be boring to a lot of people because they're gonna be like, "No, we need the freaks. We need the freaks." I understand that. I'm just asking for a balance. I'm not asking for a total 180 into a dope. Or I'm just asking for a certain type of balance. But again, women, if you present yourself again, just like what I said with the 50 thing, if you present yourself as a tough guy, you can't be mad if I react to you as a tough guy. If you present yourself as a freak, you can't be mad if I react to you as a freak. If you present yourself as offensive to black culture, don't be mad when I look at you like you're offending black. I'm only taking what you're saying. That's all. Like you're presenting yourself in a way. You know what I mean? And again, I like to have fun. So again, I'm not asking for the women to not be freaks. I'm just asking for a balance. Nicki Minaj, she does have a balance. Like you'll get the freak songs, right? You'll get the freak songs, but when you really listen to a good size of her music, she can go into different bags. She can go into different subjects. She can do different things. So it's like I think we need to stop with this whole like, well, I'm just gonna make the sex revolution and we're just gonna have sex and everybody have sex. That's cool. But we was already doing that before you got here. You know what I'm saying? Like that's not a new thing. Like you're not, that's not a new thing. You know what I mean? So I'm over it, man. As far as the female rapper list, you know, I think a lot of y'all need to come with a newer story because I think your story is probably gonna be very impactful. When you have the female that's presenting a balance or presenting a different perspective, I think it could be very impactful because it's just not what people are usually accustomed to hearing. Yeah, man. But who
Well,
in?
for some balance, there's a record on Lotto's new album or latest album called "Good to You," and she's rapping very nice. She's rapping very nice. Uh, you know, she
I,
says she
I
wants.
think in
She says, I want to introduce you to the Southern culture, sugar honey iced tea, just how you
right.
like it sweet.
Well,
I guess she's trying to
hey,
be romantic. She's trying to be romantic in here. You know what I'm
I
saying?
mean, the worst thing that against the powers that be that feel negative about us is if we start loving each other. That will be the worst thing that could happen. We start loving each other again. Black man, black woman, we and on our records start exhibiting a love for each other. That will trigger a real hatred response. Like, oh, y'all love each other now, because that stimulates a power people working together to achieve something, that triggers power, and you'll see people come out against that quicker than they ever will against being free. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So check out the documentary if you haven't seen it yet. It's enlightening.
Yeah.
Dochi, her album should be coming soon. I think she's working on that. But this top 10 list is interesting. We're gonna do our own little remix of the list. Billboard does these lists to drive conversation, so pods like ours can talk about it. But yeah. Shout out to Nikki. Shout out to Cardi. Shout out to Dochi, shout out to Rhapsody, shout out to Glow, shout out to Meg, shout out to but we do want to see some diversity. Be more, you can be more than a freak.
Yeah,
You
so
know,
somebody's like Leroy Gandhi. I'm only saying things that people really agree with, but they're too tough. They got to be tough, so they can't tell me they agree.
that would be an album. That should be the album of Megan's next album. It should be more than a freak. That's a great album title.
I'm just saying, like the
More than a
freak
freak.
is cool. Like the freak thing is cool, but how long are you gonna ride that? And then also, a real dude's not gonna take you serious. I'm sorry, ladies. If you present yourself as, well, I'm a freak. Well, I gotta treat you like what you said you was. Like, so let's get in. Let's do our go in the room. Let's do our thing. You said you was a freak.
Don't say it
What you
too
want
for
me
don't,
to?
don't say it too forcefully, Leroy. You might get you a
I'm
charge.
not. You said it,
Just a joke.
but you said it.
Hey, but
I didn't
hey,
say it.
hey, that's
You
not,
said
you
it.
might get you some charges. Don't say it too forcefully.
I'm
You know
not
what
saying,
I'm
but you're a freak. All I said was okay.
saying?
That's all I
Hey,
said.
hey, she
Oh
might
yeah,
just be.
but I hear you. But look, though, even as far as like the men, right? We choose different angles. But a lot of the records I've heard this year that were very good records, they spoke on different things. Vince Staples, he spoke on just on the mental health of overcoming economic issues and things of that nature. That's a different perspective. Very good album. Dark Times, very good album. Um, Master Ace, just as far as sonically, pure hip hop. You know what I mean? That's very dope. With Richmond Hill, he delivered a very dope album. Ka, the thief next to Jesus. One day we're gonna have to reconcile the topics on that type of album, right? I'm not gonna do that now, but I'm just saying if your faith ain't really tested, then how much faith you really holding? Um, Logic, Logic again, and he's gonna get clowned, right? It's emo rap, right? Emo rap. But if we're gonna be honest, a lot of people are dealt with the insecurities as a human that he's dealt with. And as far as rhymes and beats, because I thought hip hop was about rhymes and beats and translating the message through rhymes and beats, dope. He delivered that with Ultra 85. So as far as just like 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, I would go Vince Staples, Ka, Logic, Rhapsody, and Master Ace. You know what I mean? Go this week, listen to those albums, and again, everybody's so used to being tough, and I get that. You know what I mean? But it's like, how tough are we gonna go? Because you can't. There once you reach freaking Al Capone level toughness, or you reach Pablo Escobar level toughness, how much are we gonna go with the tough thing? It's just like the freak thing. Once you are like, you are willing to do everything that's freaky, well, how far do you want to push that line? So we gotta try some other things. Yes, and Logic is the annoying guy that's always harping on his biracialism and things like, and harping on his insecurities, and his validation. He doesn't feel validated, and his emotions over how he's perceived, and his depression, and music helps him cope with his depression. Yes, I understand. But the reality is, those things are actually people actually really go through. But they're just not going to say it out loud, because then they'll be looked at as corny. So it's like, but I can appreciate somebody who's willing to go there, even if it comes across corny. But these other rappers are not going to go there because they got to put on their Iron Man suit. I'm just always tough under every circumstance. I'm tough every day. On Monday, I'm tough. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I'm tough, tough, tough every day. And how much do music do we need to hear like that all the time? You're the same way every day, 365 days a year. Give me something that has a little bit of range to it. You know what I mean? That's one thing I've always appreciated about Jay-Z. It's not like I'm just tough, tough all the time. It's like he would give you a range. You know what I mean? Different things going on. You know what I mean? So So
Yo,
those are very dope.
let me
Yeah.
before I respond to that, Mad Max in the super chat says, let me move this down. Soto went to the Mets. I'm disgusted. Man, that hurts the Yankees, bro. I know how you
Yeah.
feel, man, because last year, before we get back to hip hop, I was real. We were in the running. The Atlanta Braves were in the running for Shohei Ohtani, and I just think it came down to the Dodgers. They came in, they made a better deal, but we were like his top three teams that he was thinking about, and
Right.
man, that's just crazy, man. We could have had Shohei Ohtani. Soto, that's a tough blow, but y'all be all right. Y'all be all right. But yeah, it's a dope list, Leroy. I forgot about Master Ace. Master Ace album was really dope. Logic.
Master
Um,
Ace, one of the greatest of all time, man. I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna try to get it. I'm gonna
oh,
pause on the interview
we
for
got that lined up. That's already
because it's
lined up.
Christmas. I got things going on around Christmas time, but after that, we gonna get these interviews back up, man, and it's gonna go. You
They got
know,
that lined up. So I got, again, Mark Homie had a dope album, but I can't put that, in my
my
top 10. Mark
serious.
Marciology, Rock Marciano makes my top 10 again. I will have to put I would put Rhapsody Please Don't Cry top 10. And on the show I'm gonna rank them. I'm gonna put
Yeah,
I'm gonna put Samurai by Lupe in my top 10. I'm gonna put um I'm gonna put I'm
I'm
gonna
gonna
put
listen to my top five this week. I'm gonna listen to my top five because I gotta write about them for real. So, well,
I'm gonna put of course I'm gonna put Common and Pete Rock, the auditorium. Uh I think Michael might make the top 10. Killer Mike, Michael might make it. Um
okay.
I've got to dissect it. Might have to put Glorilla, Glorious in there. Um
I mean, you're in the ballpark of dope albums this year. So,
yeah, I got a controversial one. I got to put I might put Vultures 1 on there, and I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna put Vultures 1.
okay.
Vultures 1. Let's look at the evidence before you say Vultures 1 shouldn't be in
Yeah.
there.
Mhm.
Vultures, the song Vultures is a banger. Let's not front
Okay.
because you
Okay.
got you got um you got Kanye's verse is crazy. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You got it's just a dope song. Then you got Back to Me is a dope record. Burns a dope record. Um
Like I don't.
Carnival's a dope record. Paid is a dope record. Stars, Keys to My Life is a dope record. I mean, you got about 6 or 7 songs. Problematic and King are dope. You got a lot of dope records on Vulture, so I got to put it in my top 10. It just is what it is.
I don't think Kanye makes albums no more. I don't think he's made albums in some years. I think Kanye is making listenings. So they're not necessarily albums. They're listenings. You come to the show and I play a listening. So it's not like an album. Like I sat there trying to put together an album. I put together a listening so you could have an experience. And a listening to me is where I think, and when I will give him credit, is I don't think it's valuable for us to. Um, vi- I'm not saying valuable, but whatever word I was looking to look there, I think we should make listenings now because the album, as we know it, is not the same. It's just not. We are not impacted by albums no more, like how we used to be. They're not selling like how they used to sell. They don't. They're not delivered or listened to or promoted or stick to the ribs. They're just not albums anymore. And I think Kanye has recognized that. So he's like, these. This is a listening. This is a playlist, not an album. And I think that's how Kanye's music rings off to me. It just rings off as, oh, you guys like Future? I'm gonna give you a Future album through me as Kanye, and it's a listening. You know what I mean? I'm Kanye sounding like Future. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
I
my little
get that.
soapbox.
I get that. I get that. But we're gonna get the list together. And if you guys in the comment section hit like and subscribe and tell us what your top 10 hip hop albums of 2024 are. I see a lot of
Yeah.
Rock Marcy. I see a lot of Rhapsody. Um,
Right.
yeah, I mean, we're gonna have that big show. We'll let y'all know when it is. It's coming soon because we don't have many days left because the holidays are coming up. Yeah, it's gonna be dope, man. It's gonna be dope, man. But any
Let me
last words, Leroy, before we get out of here tonight?
let me speak on the Forbes list. It came out months ago, but the Forbes list of top 50 rappers, right? They started off at 50 with Talib. When someone starts a list off with Talib Kweli, what they're telling you is they care about lyrics and content. That's what they're telling you. As you go throughout the list, you see that's not really the case. They got Lupe Fiasco at 41. You mean to tell me Lupe Fiasco is the 41 of rapping? Okay. They got Method Man at 93. LL Cool J at 35. Some of this just doesn't make sense. LL Cool J recently had a comment on his importance in the game. When LL Cool J came out, people didn't know if rap was a passing fade or not. We look at rap now as if it's always going to stay around. It was always here. In the 80s, it wasn't like that. It was like, oh, we're trying something new and we're going to rap now. We don't know if it's going to work. We don't know if it's going to last. When you have people like Big Daddy Kane, Rakim, people appreciated their talents, but they looked at them as people that knew how to rap. I don't know, even know if I'm saying this the right way, but guys that know how to rap really well. When LL Cool J came out, he was a rapper. He looked like a rap superhero or something or so. He looked like all he was born in this life to do is rap. So that created the whole superstardom. Now, was he the only superstar? No, but he was quite a significant one. So, but again, they got LL Cool J at 35, Busta Rhymes at 32, Ice Cube at 25. Like Ice Cube at 25? Okay. You know, Ghostface at 19, Snoop at 18. I don't know who's making these type of lists, but you know, the impact, the longevity, the career, the lyrics, the music, the impact that these things got to be looked at. And you got Pete, you got this list is all over the place, man. So we let's do better with lists, man. You know what I mean? Because there's no way it's no way Lupe Fiasco is the 41st rapper in rapping. There's no way Ice Cube is 25 of all time. If Ice Cube is not in your top 10, something's going on with your list. You know what I mean? Something's going on. You
Right,
know so
right. Yo, if I'm given a list of top 5 podcasts in this space, whatever this space is, because it's a big space. But some people think this space just contains 4 or 5 pods, but there's a big
right,
space of hip hop. People doing 100,000, 200,000 views per video. There's a big space in this, but let's talk about the space that everyone, our audience, top 5
right.
podcasts in this space. I'm going to go number 5. I'm going to go with Hip Hop Talks. It's 5.
Okay.
Number
Generous.
4, I'm going to go I'm gonna go Dead End Hip Hop number 4. I'm gonna go Dead End Hip Hop number
Hip
4.
That hip hop's fire.
Number 3, I'm gonna go with Fresh Out. I'm gonna go with Fresh Out. I'm gonna go with Fresh Out.
Not the fresh out.
Number 2, I'm gonna go with the Rap Roundtable. And number
Okay.
1, I'm gonna go with According Hip Hop. And with that being said, hit like and subscribe. Get us
Yeah.
100,000 followers.
I mean, when it in this space, and again, I'm not mad at no. I've heard great takes from everybody's in the space. Everybody has certain things that they do. When it comes to rapping, like when we're actually talking about the rapping, the rap music, and the actual albums, I think we should get on that. You know what I mean? Everybody in this, that's what I'm on. That if we're talking about rapping in the rap game, I'm about rap. Like, what are we talking about? We talk to me about rapping. You know what I mean? Now, if you're gonna always go back to the '90s to talk about rapping, I'm not mad at you. But there are albums this year. There's albums from this year that you could talk to me about rapping. So now, if it's always and if it's always going to be about the big three, I'm not mad. I know that's what the big three want to hear. Again, when I go back into talking about album of the year, well, we may have to revisit that. Might delete later. We may have to revisit that. Okay, but there were other rappers, and there's a lot of rapping going on now. So we don't always have to go to the back in '92. This happened, and I get it and I respect that, but there's rap that's right now that's dope. You know what I mean?
Right. So
So
let me give like kind of like an analysis of what, because my list is not. They say my list is biased, but it really isn't because I really watch these shows. So for um um hip hop talks, what I like about hip hop talks, I like the intro. I like how they got an intro they put together. It's really nice. Their logo is really dope. Um, I like I like some of their topics are pretty cool. You know what I'm saying? Uh, what's my man's name in the middle of the show? What's his name? Uh, there's my man. It's the Sean dude. There's Coop. What's the other dude's name? Um,
I mean, look, I
what's the
came into
no?
the
What's his
space
name?
on good vibes. I
What?
came into the space on good vibes.
No, no,
Those
no, no,
I
no,
didn't
no,
get
no. I'm
those,
giving good vibes.
I didn't
I'm just
get that back.
no,
I didn't
no, no.
get
I'm saying what's my man's name because I want to give him because I think he's the best part of the show. What's his name?
I
What's his
came in
name,
the game on
guys?
good vibes. I didn't get no good vibes in return. I got the middle finger. So
AG, AG,
I
AG, AG, AG. I've never seen a subliminal from AG, and but the other guys do subliminals. But I like AG. AG seems to be very cool. I like his spot. So their show, I think they got a long way to go. I think they are like at about 1,000 subs. So they got a long way to go with it.
no,
But
I
yeah,
mean everybody's good. Everybody has something that they're good at. I'm not. I wouldn't. I. I never been the type to not want to see somebody do good. That mentality
yeah,
just doesn't.
yeah.
It doesn't register with me. So if you're in this space, I would like to see you do good. That's the only kind of mentality. I don't like to see people not doing good.
I like.
Now,
Go ahead.
on the other way around, people don't feel that way about me. So,
But
but
no,
that's okay.
but Leroy, I'm just
I
trying
mean,
to be. I'm just trying to be. I'm trying to give some. I'm giving people their flowers. I like this show. You know what I'm saying? I think one of the big things about the old show, A2H, according to Hip Hop Live with Mike D and Coop, I always liken this show as like a hip hop Cisco and Ebert because they would just talk about different I don't know who was Siskel, who was Ebert. I don't know if guys understand movies, but they were film critics back in the day. That was kind of the dynamic. So, but again, I think Hip Hop Talks is doing well, and we wish them well, even though they wish us the opposite. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah. I mean,
I know
because
you
like
on wartime. I know you on wartime. I'm just giving them some flowers. Number four,
no, I mean I'm talking about rapping. Like so, like what was it? RJ Leroy getting very unconfrontational. At the end of the day, it's about rapping. Like you want to hear about rap. I thought it was about rap music and rapping. So other than that, what else are we supposed to be doing? Like what
right, right, right. I'm giving people, I'm giving a shout out to people that are really moving the culture forward and having meaningful conversations in this space. So number four on my list was Dead End Hip Hop. What I like about Dead End Hip Hop, I like their production. I like when they do when they're on set. I think that's a really good look, and a lot of their topics drive the culture forward as well. So shout out, I think they're based in Atlanta, so shout out to those guys. Number three, Fresh Out, dope intro. Love their production value. They seem to be really cool dudes. I like their pod always looks fresh from a visual perspective. So I like what they're doing. Very very clean aesthetic. Production values really high with them. It looks really crisp. So I like those dudes, and I actually gonna reach out to them and just show them that how much we appreciate what they do from a visual perspective and from a content perspective. And then Rap Roundtable, we've traded funny jabs here and there, but I like what they've done. If you guys
the
remember
jazz is cool.
when they started their podcast, I remember it was on Zoom and it's kind of grown. Now they do like in studio things and the banter between Jarv and the rest and Sincere and Mace and the whole crew. They got a
Yeah.
real good banter and they really bounce off each other really well. So and I like where they take it. They really take it from a competitive perspective. And yeah, I like it. But the number one hip hop podcast in the game is According to Hip Hop, baby. Mike D started this back during the pandemic. We started According to Hip Hop way back in the day as something else, totally different kind of brand, but we still number one, baby. The numbers don't lie. Not because we're not just
I
on
mean,
YouTube. We're on Facebook, we're on X, we're on all types of different platforms, and so if you average
I mean,
everything up, we're number one. So go ahead, Leroy.
as far as rapping goes, let's get back to that. And as far as like coming with a fresh perspective or something, a new perspective, if and I'm using the word we're, so I'm not. It's not a shot if I'm including myself. If we are gonna say what is the expected usual case, or what everybody's, we're just echoing what everybody says in rap world, well, then what is the real difference between just the everyday hoopla? Like, let's really get into this rap thing, and let's point out what makes certain rappers special, what certain type of music makes this rapper's thing something that people should look at, what's a direction that we could go in as a culture, and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Other than that, I'm good with whatever cats want to do. I'm good with whatever.
Yeah, and
But
and,
the
and,
most
and I
important thing is the hip hop. You know
Yeah,
what I
and
mean?
I think we all contribute different things. Like Leroy, your contribution is really based upon the rhymes and the raps and the lyrics, decoding the independent MCs. You bring a strong analysis to to the rap, the bar work, and to deconstructing lyrics and analyzing rappers for what they do with this rap part of the rap podcast. Your
Right.
focus is like really on that. That's what you bring, and that's what your contributions are valuable to that regard, as far as like breaking down bars, lyrics, albums, themes, compositions in the music. Leroy, you kind of stand out in that space with that. I don't see a lot of podcasters or people that speak in the space do that. So shout out to you for doing
Oh,
that. Mike D comes from a historical perspective with his knowledge. Him being a former MC himself. Leroy, you rap before Shervon being a DJ, before being a younger person on our platform. I'm a producer. You know what I'm saying? I'm just a person that just grew up in hip hop, that bought every Source magazine, bought every XXL. My grandma used to buy me the Source magazine because I used to go back and look at who's the producers, who is the executives. I was always about the technology of hip hop, the production elements of it. Um, grew up on Wu Tang, so I'm kind of like a producer. So I'm like I'm a producer.
yeah,
I'm a producer. So so that's
yeah.
what
No,
I
I
do.
mean,
So we all
make no
contribute different things. And when Mike started his podcast back in during the pandemic, it was have conversations about hip hop to take the culture forward. And we're just gonna keep elevating in the new year. So I just want to give people their flowers and say it's all love. And while we chop it up, man. But go ahead, Leroy.
I don't know, I don't know about flowers just yet, but make no mistake about it. In this culture, it's about who can we take down. Let me look and see what that guy's doing. Let me take him down so I feel great about myself. Make no mistake about it. The culture versus vultures thing is real. And outside of this culture, there are vultures. Literally. I mean, not the literal bird, but what I mean is there are people that don't mean well about this culture, that are looking only to abuse it, and then watch it wither away and die. And that's the issue that I'm seeing this as. So other people that are in this space, appreciate you, no issue. But I'm concerned with outside of this space, because it's the opinions on hip hop culture from outside the culture itself are not always positive. And I do take issue with that. You know what I mean? So let's just uplift the culture first. We could shoot at each other in the meantime, but let's make sure that we're uplifting the culture first, because we're not going to get a second shot at this era. Once this era is done, we have contributed our part to this era, and then the next era will move on without us. So what we do in this era is of importance. That's everybody, all the pods, everybody in it, the person that was in this seat before I was in the seat, including him as well. Do great things. I'm not here to see somebody not be great. That's not in my DNA to want to see you not be great at what you do, because that's what you're supposed to do. So let's do that. You know what I mean?
No doubt. So with that being said, I humbly request and I ask you to hit like and subscribe. Go to our YouTube page. You guys want to buy a shirt, for you put under the Christmas tree. We got those available as well. We got some new merchandise coming next week. So it might be good Christmas gifts for any hip hop lovers in your family, amongst your family and friends and loved ones. But hit like and subscribe. The like goes a long way. Leave a comment. Let us know what your albums of the year are, what you think about these female MCs. We'll be back at it next week. My name is Ron. That is Leroy Green. Go Dogs. We appreciate you, man. Peace.
There. Peace, y'all. See y'all next week or later this week.